everyone. Welcome to the Goway Industry Insider webinar series. I am coming to you from our Toronto office, having just arrived, well, not just arrived, about 10 hours before, in from India on one of our FAMs. And I'm speaking to Josh Basir, who is actually in Melbourne, but his head office is in Adelaide and the head office of Journey Beyond Rail. And Journey Beyond Rail looks after rail journeys, surprisingly enough, in Australia, surprisingly enough, as their head office is in Adelaide. I'll let Josh get into it in a minute. I'll formally introduce you to everyone in a moment, but just a quick thing. Most people, well, hopefully you've heard of the amazing rail journeys in Australia, but Josh and his team look after four big ones, and that is the Indian Pacific from Sydney to Perth or vice versa. Hang on, I wrote it down because I've forgotten it. There's the Overland, which is in Adelaide to Melbourne, if I'm
Adelaide to Melbourne, right? Yes, yeah, correct.
Yeah, and the other one is the Great Southern, which is Adelaide to Brisbane. But the one we're here to talk about today is the world famous Ghan, the Ghan, Ghan, which runs from Adelaide to Darwin or vice versa. So on that note, an official welcome to Josh coming to us all the way from Adelaide. How you doing, mate?
Good, thank you. Thank you very much, Don, and thanks everyone for tuning in. It's really exciting time to be able to share our rail journeys with, you folk over in North America and those watching. So yeah, really appreciate your support and, driving that interest to getting passengers down under and then of course experiencing our iconic journeys and most importantly the iconic Ghan that's been around for 96 years now. So she's very iconic to us.
Yeah, she is, and I think she's pretty world class as well. I'm sure Josh, through his presentation, will get into the history and why it's called the Ghan, so I won't go into that now. But obviously, with your office in Adelaide and my mentioning of the trains, they all seem to either start, finish from, or traverse via Adelaide. So that is obviously the operational centre for the four big rail journeys.
Yeah, correct. So we have Adelaide Parklands Terminal, so where our head office is, about a 10-15 minute drive out of the Adelaide CBD. Got a beautiful terminal there. So all our train journeys do come through that Adelaide Parklands Terminal. So really the heart and soul of our rail business with all of the trains coming through there. So either departing or either stopping through, and then it provides us access to do some incredible things either at the terminal or around Adelaide too.
Yeah, and again, why we are focusing on the Ghan today, and in particular within that, the Northern Territory section of it, a very good option for anyone looking at down under, our travel professionals out there when they're working on itineraries with their clients to get people around. Definitely rail journeys are a big option for Australia. They're very popular here in North America, of course, with the Rocky Mountaineer being a very famous one, West Canada in the Rockies. But again, as you've heard, you can connect Perth to Sydney, Adelaide to Darwin, Adelaide to Melbourne, and Adelaide to Brisbane, all the big cities in Australia. So please, when you look at your itinerary design, always think about the trains, and in particular the Ghan, which takes you through the geographical and spiritual heart of Australia. So on that note, I will let Josh give you all the thunder, all the really cool facts and figures and insights into the famous Ghan Railway. So Josh, over to you, please.
Feels like I'm standing on a timeless dream, touching, discovering
feels like.
It feels like.
It feels like.
It feels like Journey Beyond.
So yeah, I'm the business development manager at Journey Beyond, so looking after North America. So yes, I just thought I'd dive a little bit deeper into Journey Beyond first and foremost, just kind of explain our purpose, some of our other brands, and then we'll dive deeper into that Ghan experience. So when we're looking at Journey Beyond as a whole, our whole purpose is of the place. So we provide access to the flavors, the stories, and those incredible experiences down under. We go above and beyond with our service, so in a relaxed nature, but certainly beyond expectations. From start to finish, a lot of our journeys that we have, we take care of you from that very check-in point to that very departure point where we're waving you off and wishing you well. A lot of our experiences, we take you deeper and immerse you into those experiences, bringing them to life. And of course, we travel with a genuine respect. So for those communities, places we visit, and of course, always trying to journey lightly where possible. Now, looking at our portfolio around the country, Journey Beyond, it's a bit of a beast in the industry. So 21 brands around Australia and now New Zealand as well. A lot of these brands, they do complement our rail journeys incredibly well. But yes, as we mentioned, we're focusing on the Ghan today. So we'll be that red track straight through the top to the centre, all the way down to Adelaide, South Australia, where I'm based. So just on our portfolio as well with Journey Beyond, it is really the only portfolio of its kind. When we think of Journey Beyond, we operate in 80 destinations. We have 300 experiences, 300 plus staff, 2.7 million guests annually, 150 train carriages, 50 vessels, 70 coaches, 18 resorts and lodges, 8 planes, and 2 high-speed lifts. So a very interesting one there as well. So quite an extensive product offering that we do have. And obviously now to Australia by train. So it's the north to the south, it's the east and west. It's those forever changing landscapes, and we provide access to your clientele to really experience that in ease and comfort. So I just thought before we kind of tuck into the Ghan itinerary, one of the most important things that I certainly try to focus on is understanding the service levels that we have available across our network of train journeys. So on the Ghan, the Indian Pacific and the Great Southern, these service levels will all remain the same. So very important to understand this. And I'm just going to start off with, I guess, what we refer to as our lead-in cabin type. So it is a gold single. So gold single's perfect for a solo traveler. The way I see it is it's kind of like a first class airfare seat. You've got your single couch, which reclines into the bed during the evening. You've got a snaky little corridor. It is shared bathroom facilities. So there's 16 cabins, so 16 passengers in our single section. And they'll be sharing 2 full bathrooms, shower, toilet, amenities. And then you've got the 2 powder rooms as well. Of course, our staff are coming in, they're, cleaning up and things like that throughout the journey as well. So yeah, quite a seamless experience for those shared bathroom facilities. Adequate space in there, your little table kind of folds away. You've got a little storage nook as well. And we do encourage our passengers to travel with a carry-on bag as you would on an aircraft. We stow away your larger suitcases, obviously international travel. You've got those larger suitcases there. So yeah, we do encourage that too. There's a quick glimpse into some of the largest bathrooms on board the train as well, which is the shared for gold single. Moving through to our gold twin. So these are more of your historic feel on board the train. They haven't been through a refurbishment just yet. So I kind of refer to it as the gold heritage twin cabin. So we've got our 3-seater couch accommodating for 2 passengers. So sitting there when you're checking in, you've got a couple of brochures, flick through, and of course that star of the show being the window, watching kind of, the landscapes evolve as you're traveling through on your iconic rail itineraries there. During the evening, similar to a hotel, our staff come in, they do the turn down service. Of course, we're going to pop a little chocky on your pillow and things like that. And then our gold twin cabins is where we do introduce our ensuite facilities as well. So a little door off to the right there, and that is entering into your private ensuite as well. Now, I've given you a little bit of a stripped back glimpse into the Gold Lounge. So I refer to it as a Gold Heritage Lounge. So as you can see, it's got a beautiful heritage feel to this. As I mentioned, the Ghan, she's been around for 96 years. So yeah, certainly playing on that feeling and a little bit of romance around this carriage here. And it's really the beating heart of our travelers that are joining us on board one of our journeys. So the real heart and soul. All our guests are congregating. A lot of Australian travelers on board. So your clientele from around North America or around the world are certainly having some very unique conversations, as you can imagine. Moving through to the gold restaurant, so Queen Victoria Restaurant. Again, more of that heritage feel. This is where we're, dishing up out of a really small, well-functioning kitchen. Our staff are, delivering some exceptional food and beverage offerings on board. So you've got your 3-course dinners here. You got your a la carte breakfast, and everything's made to order. So fresh produce. You'll kind of find as well, a lot of people don't necessarily pick it up, but say, for example, on the Ghan, you've experienced Catherine, which we'll touch on shortly. You've seen some crocodiles in the gorges there, and then you'll have crocodile dumplings featured on your menu. So as you're traveling through each destination, that menu offering is certainly evolving as we're traveling as well. So yeah, really cool experience within all of our restaurants on board. Of course, we do have a handful of accessible cabins on board too. So accessible, obviously, we love to cater to anyone who wishes to travel on our train. If you are looking into accessible cabins, say, for example, if you've got a client that, has wheelchair accessibility needs, certainly, do let us know. We have a fit to travel form. Basically, our rail operations team kind of review the passengers' needs, make sure we're able to accommodate for them. In our accessible cabins, we do require an accessible traveller to be accompanied with a +1 or a support worker. Or helper, and then we can certainly accommodate for them. So great to see these facilities on board all of our trains as well, and of course the bathroom there too. Moving through to Gold Premium. So certainly a very sought after cabin type throughout North America. So we have it's basically the Gold Twin, the heritage feel, but the Ghan, she's been around for many, many years, and we're revitalizing the look and feel and the journey for this cabin type. So structurally, they are the same, but as you can see, aesthetically, it's been lifted, breathing a new sense of life into our cabins for the years to come. So you've got the couch does recline into the double bed, and a good little glimpse into the hallway there as well. So just touching on that accessible cabin type as well, as you can appreciate on a train, corridors a little bit narrow, a little bit, interesting to navigate. So certainly it can accommodate for wheelchairs, but we do stow them away, and then we do have our wheelchair, our push chairs, which are perfectly designed for our trains. Jumping back to the bedding configuration, bunk bed style, you've got your ladder, which comes out during the evening, which our staff set up, and there are nifty little side rails as well. So once you've kind of got your head around that bunk bed aspect, it's a fun little quirk in our Gold Twin and Gold Premium cabins. A really interesting way to travel. Of course, our en-suites too, they've had a little bit of a glow up in our Gold Premium. So lovely, amenities in there. More of a wet room environment. So you've got a nifty little shower curtain. You kind of rotate around, and you'll learn pretty quickly if you don't make use of that shower curtain. It is a wet room. So things may get wet, but again, it's just one of those fun little quirks when you are traveling by train. Certainly unique. And then my favorite part of the train, it's always a joy to travel on the Gold Premium Lounge. We saw the heritage feel, and this is the new age re-envision lounge that we do have. So as you can imagine, your clients are jumping on board, they're ordering some, you're traveling through Darwin, you've got beautiful wines on board, chatting to the staff on board, chatting to other passengers, barista made coffee. So this is really where a lot of our guests, if they aren't relaxing in their cabins, they're coming through to the lounge carts, and they're enjoying their time as we're traversing through the country. Okay, moving through to the new Gold Premium restaurant, same concept, just of course been elevated in terms of that aesthetic. When we do talk about gold, the standard gold twin, and then we refer to gold premium, there are some additional inclusions I'll touch on as well. So we do include a welcome cocktail in your cabin on arrival. We do have an assistant call button where you can order your barista made coffee, which will be delivered to your cabin in the morning. We do have a little bit more of an elevated beverage offering. So just when you thought gold had, great Australian wines, we've taken it up a notch in gold premium as well. So stepping up those additional services as you do move up into those higher categories of cabins. As I mentioned, the food, absolutely incredible. The chefs do such a phenomenal job with the space that they work with. And given that it's all a la carte, if you see 3 entrees on the menu that you'd like to tuck into and give them a little bit of a crack, you're certainly more than welcome to do so. So yeah, it's a beautiful culinary journey whilst you're on board. Moving into our platinum cabin type. So the demand for this cabin type, especially across North America and through Goway there, it's certainly very popular. We do, I guess, have limited stock of our platinum cabins, which does also make it quite, I guess, exclusive to passengers that are traveling Australia by train. So our platinum double cabin, they're a larger footprint. You've got the double couch, which reclines into the bed during the evening, and then you've got a larger ensuite as well. So just when we talk about our services, we've touched on gold. They remain with gold whilst traveling on train. Gold premium will remain with gold premium, and then of course platinum will travel with platinum. So there's no mixing across those cabin types as well. So if you've got a generational group that's traveling, perhaps mum, dad, some kids, the grandparents, certainly best to stick to those cabin types. As they'll be, traveling with that particular service level on board the train. When they are off train, doing their off train excursions, they can choose the same off train excursion, so reconnecting off train, but then on train, certainly moving back into those separated cabin types. So the bed does recline into, or the couches do recline into the double bed during the evening, and it's just an incredible way to travel. We do offer a premium twin cabin as well, so split bedding. So like your traditional hotel, we have the double bed or we've got the twin bed. Do keep in mind that these are fixed couches and bedding. So if you are booking a twin, make sure that if you do have passengers that would require a twin, make sure you are booking that twin as they are fixed and unable to be amended throughout your journey. So I touched on the larger bathroom as well. So when we think about mobility, the train's constantly moving. It's a great way to travel. So if you're looking for a little bit more space, you've got a few mobility issues as well. This is certainly a greater option in terms of that bathroom offering, given that it is not a wet room environment. You've got the walk-in shower and a little bit more space in there too. The Platinum Lounge and Dining Cart. So this is a current one that we do have available on the Ghan. So our Platinum passengers have a little bit more of a bespoke dining experience and lounge setting. So they are combined into the one carriage as opposed to the other service levels, which have their dining cart and then their lounge cart. So we've got our dinners here, we've got our breakfasts here. So instead of 3-course dinners, we're ramping it up and we're doing 6-course dinners here. So a bit of almost like a degustation type environment. Of course, great produce throughout your journey. All of our Platinum passengers, of course, enjoy Bollinger champagne as our house champagne. So we absolutely love the stuff here at Journey Beyond. So a really, nice way to have a cheers along your journey too. A glimpse into the little lounge cart that we do have available. So 2 bays here. So we do find a lot of our Platinum passengers, they do tend to spend a lot more time ordering cocktails and, little cheese plates and things like that into their cabin. But we, of course, can accommodate for them in our lounge cart too. Now to one of the most exciting parts about our service levels. Late last year, we announced that Journey Beyond was investing heavily into our rail journeys, and I'm really pleased to show you the first real images that we have of the Aurora Suite. So this is 2 times the size of a current Platinum. So as you can see, absolutely gorgeous finishes here. So we've got elevated food and beverage offering. You've got a 13-course degustation on one of your nights during your journey. You've got a 24-hour butler service. You give us the your luggage, we'll pop it away. We'll reach out to yourselves and organize your clients' preferred beverages in their minibar prior to their journey as well. Gone are the days of folding down those couches and setting up your beds. This is a full standing bedroom in your new Aurora and Australis suite. So absolutely gorgeous finishing. And as you can imagine, with these premium experiences, it's really elevating, the Ghan, the Indian Pacific, and the Great Southern, all of our train journeys here in Australia. It's elevating those to a global market and really, identifying Australian rail journeys as a luxury option around the world. Now, the Australis is 3 times the size of a current Platinum cabin, and that window there just on your left is one of the largest windows that has ever been seen on a train before. So as you can imagine, sitting back on your couch, drinking, not only is it your Bollinger champagne, it's a El Grand Arne. I probably butchered the pronunciation, but it's a beautiful touch and elevated experience there. And as you can imagine, it's quite a beautiful way to travel. Of course, the bathrooms elevated once again in the Australis suite, the double vanity, a gorgeous way to kind of freshen up before jumping on one of our adventures, off-train experiences too. Of course, you've got Jalique hand products in there too, so elevated amenities for our suite passengers. And exciting, we've touched on the Platinum lounge and dining cart. On the Indian Pacific in 2026, we do have the revised Platinum and lounge and dining car on board. So once again, an elevated aesthetic, but this will be joining the Ghan in 2027. So an Art Deco, rich history, but an elevated modern finish there too. So we've had some incredible feedback since these hit the track in April. It's a phenomenal way to travel. Just a quick little overview of those floor plans of the brand new suites. So just reiterating, there's 2 on board the Ghan, 2 suites on board the Indian Pacific, and then when the Ghan's not in operation, we will pop those onto the Great Southern, which is our summer train as well. So 1 full carriage, which had 6 cabins once upon a time. We've gutted that completely, and we've introduced 2 suites. So Australis, 3 times the size of Platinum cabin, and the Aurora, which is 2 times the size. Now, let's get stuck into the iconic Ghan journey. So I've done this and I've done the Ghan expedition, so traveling Darwin through to Adelaide, and it really is such a iconic journey. I think a lot of travelers from around the world come to Australia as a bucket list experience, but it's so much more than that. We take you off the beaten track, and we get you out and about into all these different regions, and the Ghan expedition is a perfect way to do so. So to paint you a little bit of a picture, you're staying a couple of nights in Darwin, or you're flying into Darwin the night before. We have a bit of a welcome function at our terminal, a glass of champagne, live musician, things like that. Traveling through the journey, going through Katherine, Alice Springs, Coober Pedy, and then through Adelaide over a 3-night, 4-day journey. And today we're going to kind of unpack that journey a little bit so you do get a better understanding of what it is like to travel. So as I mentioned, you're starting your journey off in Darwin. You're met by our team, a little bit of a hoo-ha. It's always a great celebration that you're jumping on board this iconic rail journey. Our first stop is in Katherine. So here you'll have one of 3 off-train experiences to choose from, and the very sought after is the Nickmaloo Gorge Cruise. So this is included in your fare. All of our off-train experiences are included. Throughout the journey, there are a handful that are optional upgrades, but for the most part, all included. We do have options for different mobilities as well. So if you've got someone that's up and about, we've got bike tours, which I'll touch on. But this one's certainly a more relaxed type of vibe as you cruise through the gorges in Katherine. So taking in a lot of those beautiful sights. We've got an Indigenous rock art tour that we do have, which integrates the cruise, but you do get more of an Indigenous flair included in that tour as well. So some really great offerings. We do also run tours out to the Cutta Cutta Caves. So this is a network of caves in the Katherine region. They've been around for many, many years, and you have a great guide which takes you through the cave network, and you really hear about those Indigenous stories that that we believe the caves are, why they're there and what purpose they do have. So a little bit more of a high mobility just because you are navigating through the network there as well. So if you're a little bit more up and about, a little bit more adventurous, certainly one to look after. And then a little bit more of a wholesome experience is our Catherine Outback experience. So once again, included in your journey fare along with those other off-train experiences I've just mentioned. But yes, this is where we take you to a working farm station. You meet with some of the local operators. You see a bit of a show. You meet the working horses that they have, some of the farm dogs, a little bit of Aussie classic music as well. So once we've toured through Catherine, then you're back on board the Ghan, heading into your cabin, freshening up, and then heading into your beautiful lounge cart and dining cart. And yeah, eating and drinking to your heart's content. The next morning, you are cruising through to Alice and you're waking up, you're having your breakfast on board, all a la carte selection, all beautiful produce. And then you've selected your off-train experience prior to your journey departure through your Goway advisors. And then some of the options here that we do have in Alice is Cycle Alice. So for those that are looking to do something a little bit more adventurous, grab a bike and we'll do a guided tour through Alice. We do have the Telegraph Station, which is another beautiful Journey Beyond product, which will touch on the significance to this venue here a little bit later. We have guided bushwalks as well, so really getting off the beaten track and hearing from our tour leaders about these areas and some of the beautiful hikes that are on offer. And then of course you can't go through Alice Springs without going through the Simpsons Gap or Stanley Chasm. So to be here to experience some of the to hear and listen and to feel some of these stories that are told by our tour guides here, it's an incredible destination and just kind of gives you goosebumps about the indigenous stories that they have to share about these spots. If wildlife is up your alley, and Australia is known for these creepy crawlies, but if you want to see that in more of a curated where you can't get you can't see a snake off the beaten track and things like that, we can certainly provide you with a beautiful safari experience at the Desert Park in Alice Springs too. Now, once we've toured Alice Springs, you then head back to the train, you'll freshen up, and then we bring you back to the Telegraph Station. So as I mentioned, another Journey Beyond product, but what we do, some of our tours do go here during the day, but then we bring you back here at nighttime as the sun's setting for a dinner under the stars. It's absolutely phenomenal and nothing like I've ever experienced before. You've got your white linen tablecloths, you've got the red dirt, you've got fire pits, a live music. It's a beautiful Aussie barbecue, so traditional and classic Australian experience. But of course, being Journey Beyond, we're going to elevate that for your clients too. So yeah, beautiful setting, the sun setting there. You hear from a lovely local who comes out and gives a stargazing tour, and you hear about the beautiful Start Network and some of our stories to share about that. Complimentary camel rides. Of course, you've got your glass of champagne throughout that as well. And it's a really, really unique experience. So if you're looking for a key selling point as to why you would do the Ghan expedition, this is certainly one to keep a note of. And of course, the produce and the service provided is absolutely exceptional. So we've wined and dined you, we've experienced Alice Springs, and now we're back on board the Ghan overnight and we're traveling and we're waking up in one of the most unique places, I'd say, in Australia, and that's Coober Pedy. So a mining township in the South Australian outback. A lot of people here, it's incredibly warm and there's opals throughout the earth here. So for many, many years, people that call Coober Pedy home, they live and work underground in their mine shafts, mining for opals. So what we do, we provide a tour around Coober Pedy as your included off-train experiences. You'll be welcomed by the Coober Pedy Church, the underground church there. You'll have a quick glimpse into that. And then what we do is, just when you thought that Telegraph Station dinner couldn't get any better, we've partnered with one of the mine shafts there, and we're the only business which provides a very unique lunch experience with all the passengers on board the train in a staggered experience. So we head down into one of the mine shafts in Coober Pedy for a family style home cooked lunch. So it's a really unique way to experience Coober Pedy, and the only way to do it is through the iconic Ghan. Of course, you then finish up with a tour of the breakaways for those who have selected it on their off-train experience, and you just get a glimpse of, the vast landscapes that we have in South Australian outback. So, yeah, it's a really phenomenal experience. So I touched on the included off-train experiences, and then we do have our optional upgraded off-train experiences. So instead of doing the gorge cruise by vessel, you can upgrade and you can do the Catherine helicopter tour. So, you get a glimpse of all those beautiful gorges and the sceneries from air. On board the Ghan, we then do have optional upgrades to get you across to Alice Springs. So where we park up in Alice Springs is about a 6-hour drive to get to, the famous Uluru Ayers Rock. So to get access to that, we have our suppliers which provide chartered flights for an ultimate Uluru experience, and then we do have the Uluru scenic flight as well. And then in Coober Pedy, we do have the Painted Hills and Lake Air scenic flight. So if you've got a client that's coming down to Australia, they are certain they want to tick off the red centre, we can certainly provide that access to them via these optional upgrades as well, so they can make sure they're ticking that off their bucket list. Okay, so that was traveling on the Ghan expedition from Darwin through to Adelaide. So a bit of info to kind of digest there, but now we'll kind of unpack traveling from Adelaide through to Darwin. So this is currently a 2-night, 3-day journey. It's the same concept. And I just want to touch here and just let you know that we actually have 2 Ghans running at any one point. So as the Ghan expedition is leaving Darwin through to Adelaide, the second Ghan is leaving Adelaide through to Darwin, and they're just on a constant loop. So that allows us to have 2 departures per week on board the Ghan. So with the legendary Ghan, which is a new naming that we're referring to her now, so traveling Adelaide through to Darwin, 2 nights, 3 days, same concept. You're departing Adelaide on your first day. You're stopping off in Manguri in the South Australian outback desert. So you've got a bit of a sunrise experience here, and I've got a beautiful shot to showcase that shortly. But you're stopping off in you're stopping off in Marla. That will be your sunrise experience. And then that's optional in the morning. You'll have a glass of champagne, breakfast canapes there. Then it's back on board the train. And then you're cruising through to Alice Springs. You'll have an array of off-train experiences. So you'll do your day tour through Alice Springs, back on board the train, overnight traveling through to Catherine, and again choosing those off-train experiences in Catherine. Once you've toured Catherine, back on board, and then you're closing your journey out in Darwin. So 2-night journey. So if you've got someone that's traveling to Australia in 2026 and a little bit time crunched, you can certainly jump on board the Ghan. There is still current availability for 2026. And just wanted to touch on that Marla sunrise experience. So these are the types of views and experiences that we provide you access to. So we're passaging around 200 people at any one point, and given that they're in these particular service levels and things like that, it still feels very much like a bespoke tour. You're not feeling like you're traveling with 200 passengers on board a ginormous train as you would feel on a cruise ship and things like that. Still certain elements which have those feels, but yeah, it feels like a much more bespoke tour. And as you can imagine, the train pulls up in Marla here in the South Australian outback. You've opted into that sunrise experience. You've got your glass of champagne, the sun's rising, you've got the red desert dirt. You might see a kangaroo jumping off in the distance. No guarantees on that, but yeah, it's certainly a lot of our passengers do tend to see some incredible wildlife along their journey as well. But yeah, this is a phenomenal way to wake up. Moving through to 2027 and what that looks like for the Ghan. So the legendary Ghan, she has had a bit of a shake-up and a bit of a change in itinerary for 2027. So as I mentioned, 26 traveling from Adelaide through to Darwin is a 2-night, 3-day journey. In 2027, we welcome a 3-night, 4-day journey. So similar length of time as to the Ghan expedition, traveling Darwin to Adelaide. But for this new itinerary, we're departing Adelaide late in the afternoon. You're cruising through to the Long Plain, so the Clare Valley, one of the most popular wine regions in Adelaide, South Australia. You've got the Barossa Valley, you've got McLaren Vale, and then there's Clare Valley. So certainly a very sought after wine region. And what we do at the Telegraph Station, we're replicating that concept, and we're providing a beautiful signature dinner experience in Long Plains, Clare Valley. So we'll wine and dine you, and then you're back on board the train and then traveling overnight, and you're waking up in the Flinders Ranges. Now, the Flinders Ranges is one of the most beautiful places you can ever experience. It was actually announced as one of the top destinations to travel in 2026-27 from Lonely Planet. So there's certainly a lot of demand to get into the Flinders Ranges and to experience that pocket of Australia. And we are now providing access to that in 2027. So you'll have an array of off-train experiences there too. You'll immerse yourself in the Flinders. You'll jump back on board that iconic red train, and then you are traveling overnight, and you're again waking up in Marla for that sunrise experience. So again, you've got that red desert dirt, the glass of champagne in your hand, those breakfast canapes. And from that point, the journey remains the same up. So of course, you've got your beautiful off-train experiences in Alice Springs, getting out and about, experiencing that. Overnight, cruising through to Catherine and waking up in Catherine, doing those train experiences as well. So yeah, very fresh and exciting journey for 2027, and certainly would love your support with 2026, as we do currently still have availability. So if you've got eager travelers that are looking to come down under, we're here to sort you out through our partners at Goway, or of course, look ahead at 2027, as we certainly do have inventory on those beautiful Aurora and Australis suites as well. So that kind of wraps up, I guess, a bit of an info session on the Ghan. I've got a few little slides just to give you a little bit of a showcase on the Indian Pacific and the Great Southern. We'll just kind of briefly touch on these. So the iconic Indian Pacific, she's 55 years young, and she's been traversing from Perth to Sydney for that 56 years. She's certainly iconic as well as the Ghan. So traveling from Perth through to Sydney on a 4-night, 5-day journey. So going through Kalgoorlie, the mining township there in WA, very unique off-train experiences, heading through to Cook, Broken Hill, Blue Mountains, and Sydney. So a very beautiful journey on board the Indian Pacific. Once again, those service levels on board remain the same. It's just their destinations and those experiences we provide access to. On this particular journey, we take that same signature dinner experience, and we've replicated that on board the Indian Pacific. When we do head into Adelaide, we're stopping off in the Barossa Valley, Seppetsfield Winery there. They were announced the best winery in the world in 2025. So we provide access to a very beautiful dinner there too. When you're in Broken Hill, we've got Shalita, the queen of the outback. So she comes through and does a very interesting and unique drag show, walking through the township of Broken Hill. It's a very sought after tour that we provide access to. And of course, the optional Blue Mountains tour as well. So getting a glimpse into those hazy blue mountains that are available to our passengers. And then we do have the trip vice versa, so you can head through. If you've got your international flight coming through to Sydney, you're potentially jumping on board our Journey Beyond Cruise Sydney lunch or dinner vessel, and then you're moving through on this shorter itinerary, so 3 nights and 4 days on the coast to coast. So that kind of wraps up the Indian Pacific. And then if this slides across, I'll just touch on the Great Southern as well. So the Great Southern, our baby rail business of the family. So she's traversing from Brisbane through to Adelaide or vice versa. So this is when the Ghan isn't in operation. So December, January and February. So if you're wanting to escape the colder months over in North America, certainly head down to Australia and you'll do the summer train experience. So Brisbane through to Adelaide. If you've got some tennis fans, clients that are huge tennis fans and they're looking to come down to the Australian Open in January, we have access to fly direct into Brisbane with those airlines, and then you can jump on board the Great Southern, head off in Melbourne, drop your bags at your hotel, and then you're walking into that iconic Australian Open experience. So that in itself is such a key selling point for the Great Southern for any of those tennis fans. And of course, we're wining and dining you throughout the way. So you've got your Coffs Harbour dinner experience, that same signature dinner experience that we provide on all our journeys. So I really do hope that kind of gives you a bit of a insight into our beautiful rail networks that we do have here in Australia. Obviously, the Ghan, she's so iconic, and you'll be hearing more and more about her across North America, and then the sister trains as well, that Indian Pacific and the Great Southern.
Thank you for that. That was cool. It's always nice to hear about my home country spoken about, and particularly something as iconic as the legendary Ghan, as Josh has mentioned. That's the new naming of it. I've got some questions and a few statements in no particular order. One thing I want to point out, which most people are aware of, particularly in North America, is Australia is a very, very big country. There's a lot to see and do. And what often happens, not talking the rail per se at this moment, is a lot of people don't give South Australia enough time in general, let alone picking up one of the trains. So we have done a podcast on South Australia. So I suggest you check that out, because apart from the rail journeys sort of hubbing in and out of Adelaide, it's a beautiful state with a lot to offer. Everything from, again, as Josh has mentioned, all the beautiful wineries. And then a short drive away, you're in the outback. And you got the big cosmopolitan city of Adelaide itself as well. So don't ignore South Australia, and don't use it just as the start-finish point for the rail. But of course, if that's all you want to do, or your clients do, then you have the train journeys. One thing I want to point out is I haven't heard this expression for a while, not being at home. Give it a crack. Something Josh mentioned. For those who may not know, that means like give it a go, give it a try. But that sort of stuck out very, very.
Bit of Aussie slang.
Yeah, give it a crack, mate. Give it a crack. You did mention in passing, so these are some questions for you, which I think a lot of our travel professionals would like to know. And I might, you may have touched on it in the presentation. I just want to maybe go over it again. As I started off with the introduction, going up through the middle, the centre of Australia, South Australia, and more particularly the Northern Territory.
Yes.
It's often referred to as the heart. Well, it is. It's the centre of Australia. It's often referred to as the centre, Alice and its surrounds. What Aboriginal or Indigenous experiences are available as part of the Ghan experience?
Yeah, so with the Ghan, so say when you're in Alice Springs, when you doing the included off-train experiences, say when you're going through Simpsons Gap, when I did that, and also Stanley Chasm, we've got our local guides that are sharing stories. So they kind of provide you access to those Indigenous stories and some of the Dreamtime experiences that they live and breathe, and you get to hear about their interpretation into these beautiful destinations. So that in itself is such a cultural experience. I remember when I did that, I had absolute goosebumps just hearing those stories. So to have that grounding experience, to really dive deep into, our history and our heritage of our ancestors and the custodians of our land, to have exposure to that just adds this element of meaningful travel when you're on board the Ghan. And then, of course, if you do opt into those optional upgrade experience, so the chartered flight or the ultimate Uluru experience, where you're then getting off in Uluru and you're experiencing that on the ground, you're hearing from our tour leaders there, and they're also sharing the stories of this significant monument that we are lucky to have here in Australia. So that in itself is such a mind-blowing experience too. So certainly one to reach out to our team in terms of availability, because I think doing the Ghan is so amazing, but then to add on those optional experiences is just going to exceed your client's expectations tenfold. So certainly throughout all of our journeys, whether that be our rail business or any of our journeys, we always pay our respects to the custodians of that region and include that flair into our experiences down under.
Excellent. Yeah, there has been not recently, but over the previous years, a big push, and there are more and more Indigenous guides. They were always there, but there's more and more now in these areas. So as Josh is mentioning, not only are you hearing about the stories, you're hearing it from the authentic peoples, and it's their stories as well. They're just, again, I know you mentioned some of the stuff, but just to confirm, when you started your presentation, you went through the different classes of train.
Yes.
Cabin storage. So just to confirm that is across the three big trains, the Indian Pacific, the Ghan, and the Great Southern.
Great Southern, yeah, correct. So the three iconic journeys, they all have those, leading cabin types: gold singles, gold twin, so more of a heritage feel, moving through to gold premium, same look and same feel, just elevated in that aesthetic and additional inclusions. Then moving into the platinum services, so platinum twin or double, and then the brand new Aurora and Astrala suites. There's a really fresh and new YouTube video that's popped up recently of someone doing a review of those suites, and yeah, it's just the journey and the commentary around that, the butler service, the additional amenities, the elevated Australian wines that we have on board. It's a crazy way to travel, and it's really good cabin type to keep on your radar for sure.
Okay. Jumping back to your introduction, Journey Beyond, you mentioned is beyond, pardon the pun, just the trains. You have multiple other product offerings. You mentioned vessels and stuff like that.
Yes.
Is all that other product, again, we don't get to detail, it's just general requests, because if a travel professional comes to us with a request and they want the Ghan or Indian Pacific, they might want to stay within your family of product, which Goway can assist you with.
Absolutely.
Is the family of product all at the same level? It is all sort of the 4 to 5 star, or do you have a mix of everything?
It's certainly a mix. So I think our rail journeys and the services, they are the elevated services. However, when you look at our Cruise with Sundays pontoon on the Great Barrier Reef, the product that we have there, it provides access to sleep under the stars from July 1, a new elevated reef sleep experience. So jump on the website, check out that, reach out to Goway, because sleeping under the stars in a overnight exclusive access to our pontoon. We've got a pontoon now for our day trippers. We've got a pontoon for our 36 overnight passengers sleeping on the Great Barrier Reef. So yes, it's an elevated experience, but you really can't put a price on this exclusivity that we have access to on the Great Barrier Reef. When you look at our vessel in Darwin Harbour Cruises, we provide access to a sunset dinner cruise in Darwin. So if you've got clients flying into Darwin doing the Ghan expedition the night beforehand, it's a no-brainer to get on our premium service in Darwin and doing that buffet sunset cruise. If you're going across to Western Australia, you've got the Rottnest Express, the red vessels that go to Rottnest Island. You can visit the little quokkas. If you haven't heard of them before, definitely Google it. It's one of the most cutest marsupials I've ever seen in my life. And then if you head up further, we've got South Sala, so 16 eco tents, perched on the Ningaloo Reef, so fringing reef there, another wonder of the world. So yes, we have different services across the Journey Beyond portfolio, but there's certainly that elevated touch and feel to all of those products. Given it's South Australian based, I'd be remiss to not give Monado Safari Park a plug as well. So an hour outside of the Adelaide CBD, the largest safari park outside of Africa. The conservation work that the team at Monado Safari Park and Zoos SA are doing there is absolutely phenomenal. And Journey Beyond are the proud managing partners of our brand new resort and opening earlier this month our luxury lodge there as well. So quite an array of product there in South Australia too. So yeah, the way I see Journey Beyond, certainly an elevated experience, but at least you can put your faith in Goway that if you are booking a Journey Beyond product, you have a good glimpse of the service that your clients will be receiving around the country when traveling with us.
Excellent. Yeah, we did touch on on that safari setup in our podcast as well, which was at the time new to me. So when you brought it up, it's huge, and it's again like a lot of very responsible people these days. They're doing some excellent conservation work down there for animals from all over the world, particularly African based. Okay, so I'm going to bounce around a bit here. For those who know me through podcasts, webinars, and our Travel Academy, I like our history, and I'm very proud Aussie. I like our Australian history. So I just this will lead into some questions to you, Josh. So just bear with me for a minute.
Yep.
So the route of the Ghan from Adelaide to Darwin actually retraces the original telegraph route. So what back in the day, after Australia was colonised, the communications to the mother country, which is England, was generally via vessel, and it'd take up to 6 months for letters to get to and or two actually, then back again. So communication was a big thing. So what they ended up doing is running a telegraph line from Adelaide up through the centre into Darwin, and then they hooked that up to an underwater cable which went across to Indonesia and then to England. So all of a sudden, Australia wasn't as isolated as it used to be. So the Ghan retraces that. But in the early days, when they were exploring that and laying that, they used camels, pack animals, to get across the center of Australia because it's all desert. A lot of those camels came from Afghanistan, and the herders were Afghans, and therefore the Ghan. That's where the name comes from. And did you know that some of the most purebred camels are in Australia? Because after they were finished being used, they were left to run wild in the Australian outback, and their breeding, because they were not played with, now has some of those pure bloodlines in the world. So a lot of Middle East people come to Australia to buy camels. A complete aside. And the Indian Pacific name means that it runs from the Indian Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. Now, that all leads back into some questions about the Ghan itself. You mentioned, and this sort of ties into the telegraph office in Alice Springs, which was sort of like the center hub of the telegraph back in the 1800s, has the evening dinner. A lot of our agents have sold with Goway for many years, have sold Australia, and have sold the Centre, Uluru, and would sell the Sounds of Silence dinner.
Yes.
I would assume that this dinner is not the same, of course, but it's an equivalent way to position it for our travel professionals, as it's somewhat new to me. Probably.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, like, you can't necessarily compare the two, but if you're thinking of an iconic dinner experience in the heart of Australia, they are certainly aligned to each other. It's the whole journey is memorable, but if you're laying in bed, you're reflecting of your journey, or as you're flying home on your long haul flight, it's those key moments that kind of stand out, definitely for me, and the feedback that we've had. And I mean, the fact that we've wined and dined you at the telegraph station, connected us to the rest of the world many, many years ago, as you mentioned there, Don. The fact that we provide access to this, I guess, exclusive dinner at this, this birthplace of communication for Australia, to have a glass of wine, Australian wine in your hand, to have that Aussie barbecue with all your new mates from on board the Ghan, you're kicking up the red dirt on the dance floor. You've got, a blanket of skies above you. You've heard about those stories of our Australian Start Network, and then you're jumping back on board your Australia suite. It's those key moments that really, I guess, what makes the Ghan so attractive. And yes, there are so many things you can do in Australia, but we provide access to those in an easy and comfort way to do that. So through you guys, if you're piecing together an itinerary, we take care of you for 3 nights and 4 days. So if you think about that, to have trust in us, and we're providing you access to the dinner under the stars, it's a no-brainer, really.
Yeah, I was at the telegraph station many years ago with my family before this service was offered. And again, history-wise, it's very, very fascinating, considering what they did, how they did it. But to have that experience now, I think, would be, as you say, like icing on the cake for that particular part of in Alice as well.
Yeah, for
now,
sure.
you did mention that the Ghan runs, I think you said twice a week. One starts one starts Saturday, and I assume they cross somewhere away. It does not run, I think you said December, January, February. Is that because of the rains?
Correct. So yeah, wet season in Darwin, just a challenging time. Yep. I mean, there's touch wood, it doesn't happen, too often, but there can, with any travel, business, there's some disruptions we can manage and some we can't. But yeah, Darwin, just with that wet season, makes it that little bit more challenging. So yeah, end of November, we stop the Ghan, the season wraps up, and then we introduce the Great Southern, and certainly a less known product, but given it is that same elevated rail journey experience, and we are connecting, the coastal routes, so going through Newcastle and heading through to Brisbane and Melbourne and all those beautiful coastal destinations. If you're after that rail journey, relaxing, taking in those beautiful views, getting exposure to our off-train experiences there, it's certainly one to consider for your travel if you're coming down, for our festive season, December, January, and February.
Yeah, have Christmas on the beach instead of in the snow. That's always a good one.
Yeah, exactly. Escape that winter. I'll do a swapsy. I'll come over for the ski season. You guys come down for the summer.
Hey, I'm all for that. I don't like winter here at all. So we've discussed Adelaide to Darwin, Darwin to Adelaide. Can you do it Adelaide to Alice or Darwin
Yeah.
to Alice and then get off in Alice?
Yeah.
And if so, again, you're nodding yes, so that answers that question. So in theory, you could, let's go south to north. Adelaide into Alice, hop off the train, spend an extended period of time in and around Alice in the area there. Then you could, it'd be, I know, a separate journey, but reboard in Alice and then continue on to Darwin.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so there's a few options there. We do offer what we, I guess, internally refer to them as sectors. So doing Adelaide to Alice or Alice to Darwin. So we do provide that when you're traveling on the legendary Ghan. So you can book a sector if you're doing a self-drive tour through the Red Centre and things like that, and then you're jumping on board the next Ghan. We can certainly provide access to that. Journey Beyond, within our portfolio of products, when I mentioned we have those 80 coaches, we also have a business called Outback Spirit. So Outback Spirit is a premium coach touring business. It's driven by luxury Mercedes coaches. You got a maximum of 26 passengers or up to 22 passengers on some tours. They're all guaranteed departures for 26 and 27. So we also curate our own holiday packages, which marry up the sectors of the Ghan. We then provide access to the Red Centre through Outback Spirit, and then you're jumping on board that Ghan. So if you wanted your own flexibility, of course, you can piece together those sectors, do your own middle itinerary, or let us take the stress away from you. We can provide you access to that. Again, all inclusive with Outback Spirit. It's what we do incredibly well. So certainly a brand to look into. It is a lengthier tour when you are adding in these Red Centre, tours and things like that. But if your clients have the time, then we certainly have that product for you guys as well. When you are traveling on the Ghan expedition, that is typically required to do the full 3-night, 4-day journey. So we don't typically sell that as a sector. So you can't travel Darwin through to Alice or Alice through to Adelaide. The only time we do open up inventory for that is when we have an imbalance of cabins. Maybe some are going off and doing the Red Centre, and then short lead inventory will open up about 3 months prior to travel. So yeah, it depends if you've got someone, planning a trip in 2027, those sectors on the Ghan expedition won't be available. But if you've got someone that's, they're like, right, I've had enough of the cold weather, I'm coming down to Australia, they want a bit of a break, we've got inventory for those shorter experiences as well.
Okay. On that note then, how far should someone be looking to book ahead to get the cabin of their choice and the journey of their choice?
I'd say you'd be booking today, but no, in reality, I think last year was a very interesting one. So last year we had same year availability, and it's kind of varies. Like the Indian Pacific is having its moment where 2026. There's very few cabins on our departures for 2026, and then there is quite a bit of availability on the Ghan for 2026. So I think, gone are the days of the COVID credits and things like that, where, it's bulking up that inventory and there is less availability on board the train. Of course, those service levels on the suites and then also platinum, I would say if you're looking for a platinum and you're looking at a suite, you're looking at 2027. But if you've got someone that, is open to the bunk bed setting, that gold premium experience, and they're eager to travel in 2026, we can certainly accommodate for you. But if you are looking for those elevated cabin service levels, then I'd be looking at 2027. But jump on our website, chat to the team at Goway, and yeah, we provide inventory reports and things like that. So if you don't want to, click through the website and have a look at dates, we provide access to trade portals and things like that, where you can jump on and you can kind of seek real-time availability in a real easy to digest kind of way.
Yeah, our destination specialists have access to all that information. So when you do
absolutely
to inquire on behalf of your clients, they'll have up-to-date information. So based on Josh's comments there, I'd say you want to be looking at least 12 months out minimum to get the cabin of your choice. If your client's a bit more flexible and they're traveling a little bit sooner, then there's probably availability, but it may not be the class of cabin that they want, which is pretty much standard for a lot of these type of cruises, etc. You want to be, if you want the cabin you want or the room you want, book well in advance. Generally speaking, people are booking 12 months out for Australia. It is a big trip, but Goway often sees last minute bookings to anywhere in the world, but particularly to Australia within 6 months. Okay, then cool. Okay, so I've asked all the questions I had written down. Josh, is there anything that you would like to leave our travel professional partners out there with before we say goodbye?
Yeah, I think obviously, thank you very much for your support. We have a beautiful collection of products, so certainly encourage you to reach out to the team at Goway or jump onto the Journey Beyond website and kind of familiarize yourself. We've got our new collection brochure, which gives you an insight into the 21 plus brands that we have around the country too. So yeah, certainly get your clients to get curious about Australia, and of course when they are coming down under, we can certainly look after them for those iconic experiences. But yeah, thank you very much for your help. If you're looking for trade assets and things like that, certainly reach out to the team at Goway. We have incredible images that can support getting your clients interested and jazzing up websites and things like that. So certainly here to assist in any way possible. But yeah, really appreciate everything that the North American is providing us down here in Australia, and yeah, I can't thank you enough for your support.
It's our pleasure. Australia is where Goway, made its bones, so to speak. We're well famous for our service to Down Under. In fact, I think it was last year, one of the big Australian travel awards that Bruce Hodge, our owner and founder, was acknowledged. Goway is the largest mover of people to Australia from North America. That's not just a marketing call, it's an actual fact. So we know Down Under, Australia, intimately, and through our partners like Beyond. We have access to the best experiences you can have in Australia, and you've heard through their portfolio of product, not only a wide-ranging but very, very unique experiences available. And, of course, I think there are none better than probably the two most famous train rides in the world, being the Indian Pacific, Perth to Sydney or reverse, or the legendary Ghan from Adelaide to Darwin or reverse, or the sectors in between. So get down there, visit the heart of Australia on the Ghan, on the legendary Ghan. And Josh, thank you very much for your time today. We appreciate it. And as always, to our travel professionals out there, thank you for taking an hour or so of your time today to listen in. And until next time.
Thank you very much.